just you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scumm Bar.
Welcome to the Scumm Bar Podcast, episode 66, where we talk movies, video games, pop culture, books, that's what she said, and everything in between. I'm your regional manager, Mattbrush. With me, the assistant to the regional manager...
Anth0z.
Michael?
It is I, Anth0z.
Anth0z, how are you doing?
I am doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing as well. So, if it's not obvious enough already, we have an Office-themed episode of the Scumm Bar Podcast for you today. Everything today is The Office. It's all The Office. That's all we're talking about, and that's it.
Yeah, we're even being recorded.
Yes. As we speak, there's a documentary team recording.
Yeah. It'll be released in a year.
Before we talk about The Office, I guess I lied to you already. Before we talk about The Office, what's going on with you, Anth0z? Anything to talk about?
I started reading The Shining.
Ooh, good for you. The Shining.
The Shining. It's funny that I actually say that when I type it out sometimes because I'll mistype it, but I'll type it The Shinig, Shinnig. I'm reading The Shinig. So I'm only a couple chapters in, but I wanted to. It's on my ever expanding list of books to read, and especially ones that are adapted into movies. Those are the ones I want to focus on. So that's why I wanted to read it as soon as I could before watching the chapter 2, but focusing on Shining first, so I can read that and then watch a movie after.
All blank and no blank makes blank a blank.
Oh, there's the reference.
Oh,
you beat me.
Yes.
Good. That's a
man,
good one.
you actually went from Little Women to The Shining. I don't know how you did it, man, but you did the Friends
I
episode.
finally did it. I did the Friends reading order.
Yeah, good job.
I'm looking forward to getting through this. I've never really read I don't think I read a horror book before. So it'll be different because, like, you know, my mind is used to picturing stuff like medieval things or Professor Langdon in the Dan Brown books, you know, like Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing Tom Hanks, and
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but like the It book, going through it, it's not super scary. Like I don't necessarily find it scary, but I mean, I am going through the audiobook. I don't know if that changes things or not, but I don't find it necessarily scary as I do thrilling. So while movies I find quite scary sometimes, but for the audiobook, I guess, of It, I don't know what it is, but I just find it really thrilling and I really, really enjoy it, but I don't necessarily find it scary at all. I'm like, I could listen to it comfortably in the dark and I'm not thinking about being scared or anything, so.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but it doesn't scare me in the same way as a movie can, like, the images will stay with me for a while when the movie. I guess I find visuals more scary than the imagination. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I think when it comes to getting the visual experience, that's also tied in with a very prominent audio experience, because when there's like a jump scare, I mean, not even just the jump scare, but even the lack of music creates intensity, right?
That's true.
So,
yeah.
And
I hate that lack of music because my brain always kills me on that. In fact, actually, funny thing, when I watched Revenge of the Sith in theaters, there's a scene where Anakin, I keep forgetting his name, when Anakin's out on the balcony and he turns back to look at Padme and he tells her something like, "Oh, you underestimate my power," or whatever stupid thing he says, and he turns back to her and she's like, "Annie," and as he's looking at her, there's this shot and the music goes really quiet, and me in the theater, I don't remember how old I was quite young, I'm watching this and I thought for sure a car was just going to sideswipe him from the background, because the background scene is all those flying cars. And I thought for sure he was going to sideswipe and he was going to wake up and he was dreaming. Because he was having weird dreams of her dying and stuff. So, that was it. It was her on the balcony looking back at him. And yeah, he was having weird dreams of her dying. So I thought for sure she was going to get sideswiped by a car and he was going to wake up suddenly and it was going to be a jump scare. And so I was waiting, and I remember just like plugging my ears, like waiting for this jump scare in Revenge of the Sith, which never came. And to this day, when I watch Revenge of the Sith, I still think there's a jump scare there. And I'm like watching, I'm like, is there a jump scare? I can't remember, you know.
And then you're always disappointed when there isn't.
Yeah, every time it doesn't happen, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that was just me thinking that. Next time you watch Revenge of the Sith, you'll know the exact scene I'm talking about. It almost seems really obvious, but it's just not happening at all.
Okay, I'll watch it, or I'll listen for that.
You'll see it.
Yeah, cool. What else? I can't remember if I mentioned, but we started watching Everybody Loves Raymond.
Wow.
And that's because it's like we finished watching. My wife and I finally finished watching The Office, and so and we'd like to watch. Well, I think she put it in a good way, like during lunchtime, because we'll eat and watch something together.
Right.
And she. Maybe because it's like in the middle of the workday. I didn't really ask why, but she likes to watch something that's a little bit light. I was asking if she wanted to start watching Money Heist, because I know that that's kind of trending on Netflix, or people have been saying a lot of good things about it, so I wanted to try it out. But then, I guess like maybe in the middle of the workday might get you a little bit too worked up. So figured, well, I really liked Everybody Loves Raymond growing up, and I don't recall if I watched every single episode, but I know that I really enjoyed it, so I thought it'd be great to share that with my wife. So yeah, so we started watching that.
That was a good show. I used to like it.
It's definitely good. It's I wish I could impersonate his voice, but I just can't. I remember growing up that like really, really hating Marie, his mom. So badly.
Yeah, me too.
So,
yeah.
Right now, the way the series has started off, it's not too bad. Like you get a good glimpse of what all the characters are like, but I find that there's so much more that changes and happens, and you get more reasons to love and hate everybody. Which I'm looking forward to getting to that point. Yeah. How about you?
I so good.
Good.
I just recently acquired 2 new books to talk about books more. I got my gosh. What is it? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and Moby Dick, which I've gone through the audiobook, but not physical. So I've got the physical read of it. And I remember not really latching onto it with the audiobook as well. So I want to read Moby Dick physically now and go through it and hopefully retain more information now with it. But yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as well. So I'm really excited because I've never gone through that. And it inspired me to get the audiobook of Frankenstein, which is read by Kenneth Branagh, which is Professor Lockhart from Harry Potter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to go through that as well. So that's got a couple new books and stuff down the pipeline. So that's just what's going on right now for me in my entertainment fields.
Cool. I actually, so a little while back, a few years back, I started reading Moby Dick, and I also didn't get too into it, but I think because it was at the time, I might have been at, you know what? It might have been when we were going to BCIT. So I might have been reading it just on the side, and I didn't really have a lot of time to read it because of work, like the schoolwork. But so I didn't get to finish it before having to return it to the library. But re-adding it to my list of books to read, because that is definitely one that I want.
The Great American Novel. Fun fact about it, actually, the guy who wrote it, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Look it up.
He didn't, when he wrote it, it flopped, and it didn't do very well at all. And for the rest of his life, he didn't even know that his book was popular. So he actually eventually he wrote like 2 other books. They flopped, and he just stopped being a writer. He just like worked on the docks for the rest of his life. And then,
really?
After he passed away, and later on in life, it became known as a popular novel, and it started to get more and more as like a classic literature kind of novel, and then it became the Great American Novel eventually. And it's it's very interesting to know that like his book was never popular in his time.
That's kind of like how like a lot of, I think this is how it works for artists. Like a lot of their work isn't actually valued until they're 10.
Right. It's appreciated much later on. Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's unfortunate for him, but yeah, he never knew Moby Dick was a classic story.
Too bad. Herman Melville.
Yeah, it's at Herman Melville. Yep.
Or Hermie.
Yeah. Hermie.
And
anyways. Oh, sorry. What?
I was gonna ask. So I'm seeing trailers. Right. So there actually was a movie based on the book.
There's quite a few. I think there's more than one. There's one. The most recent one was with Thor guy Chris Hemsworth, but it wasn't really based on Moby Dick. It's actually based on the story Moby Dick is based on. So Moby Dick is based on a true story. And the movie was based on that story, the true story. And in the movie, it actually goes over Herman Melville going through his writing of Moby Dick as well. Like, that's the whole point of the movie, is he's like trying to write his own book, so he needs to hear the telling of the real story.
Okay, while I talk about news, then you can look for a pirate joke, and then we can reverse the order.
Perfect.
And then you can send it to me, and I'll talk, because if you talk, we might freeze again.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm just kidding, but anyway, my news was that Ryan Reynolds gave a speech at Kitsilano High School, and I'm not sure if it was for a grad or for something else. I can't quite remember. Let me look it up. But anyway, so I believe he attended Kitsilano High School when he was younger, and as I guess like a thank you. Wait, did he give a speech? Yes, yeah, that's right. So it was a speech for graduating students. That was his former high school in Kitsilano Secondary. And when he was going to that school, there was this pizzeria called Nat's Pizzeria that he would always go to. And then I think he also bought a whole bunch of pizzas during the filming of Deadpool while he was in town for that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he's buying a pizza for each grad of this year at Kitsilano Secondary. And so there's 385 students that are graduating. So he's buying 385 pizzas. And approximately, I think it's going to be like approximately like $10,000 of pizzas. So I think, the person who owns it.
Oh, hold on. 2 seconds.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
What's up?
I need to use the microwave for like 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. We're Anth0z, we're doing microwave time for 30 seconds. I apologize. Just give me
microwave
30 seconds,
testing.
Okay, hold on.
Cool.
Go ahead.
And we're back.
Oh, it cut on like the funniest face for you. It was
you
this,
too.
Like,
you
stupid smile.
you were kind of like mid constipation.
Okay, I am so sorry for the interruptions.
That's okay.
Please finish your story about Ryan Reynolds and the pizza.
Just so we can get over it.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, he's so the owner of Nat's Pizzeria, I believe, was also like he's the same owner that was there or has been working there ever since Ryan Reynolds was attending. And so I think he even remembers that Ryan used to be there getting pizzas and stuff. But anyway, so I think it's kind of nice. It's a small business, and I assume that this would be also helping the business stay intact during this time. Anyway, just a brief little tidbit of some celebrity news in Vancouver, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's pretty sweet. I mean, I'm assuming he can afford it. But
well, I don't know. I mean, he's not filming right now, but
yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
In other news, not as important as that, but Star Wars Battlefront, the original one from like back in like 2002 or whatever it was, on Steam has generously donated servers for it. So now when you play online, you can actually play online Star Wars Battlefront with other people from the original one. So if you own it on Steam, then you go through the Steam servers and you can play it online again.
Oh, wait. So you mean like, so the original Star Wars Battlefront servers were down and you could not play them?
Yeah, it was EA servers from like 2002. So or whenever that game came out, I can't remember the year. But so they take them down naturally over time. So there's no more server anymore. So Steam makes its own like Steam servers for some of these older games if they have a popular enough fan base. Well, finally they have for the original Star Wars now, which is awesome for me. I used to love that game. So you can now play it online with like up to 32 players, I believe, of the original Star Wars game. So
cool. I want to play it. I just want to anything Star Wars related. I just want to be a part of.
Well, that one I used to love as a kid because there was no Jedis in it. So this is before Star Wars Battlefront 2 where the Jedi playable character came into play. In this one, if your team did well enough, the Jedis would join the battlefield and start fighting. And so it made this like really thrilling experience where like if you saw a Jedi, like it was this like force that was way stronger than you. No pun intended. That was way stronger than you that you can't really do anything about. So you just kind of have to stay away from the Jedi kind of thing. Or Sith if they're on the battlefield. Although one time, I used to always play as the rocket launcher dude. And one time I had shot Darth Vader with a rocket. And it hit the ground next to him. And he glitched into a building and he got stuck. And eventually he despawned because he was glitched. So I technically killed Darth Vader, and I was so happy. Like, this is like 10-year-old Matt, and I was so happy that I had done it. I was like, yes!
Glitches count. It's in the game.
Yeah, I used to get I tried to get so many kills in that. I remember I'd have like over 100 kills So like my whole squad or army, it was like me, this one guy had like like overtaken the whole war, but it'd be like they didn't show kills if you kill the Jedi because that wasn't a thing. But I knew I had also killed Darth Vader, so I was like 101. I was very happy.
See. I want to take a look at some gameplay. I want to know how this
The
looks.
original Star Wars Battlefront. I don't know how well it holds up, but I used to love that game. There was this one level that was Cloud City, and it was my favorite level by far. I used to rally point to point to point on it. It's really fun.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look at those graphics. Those look amazing. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the old one. Oh yeah, they're fairly janky graphics now. And actually, a lot of these screenshots to me are showing number 2, so you want to make sure you see the first one and not the second. But oh man.
Yeah, no, this one says Star Wars Battlefront 1.
Yeah.
Gameplay on Tatooine. I mean, I still want to play it.
Oh yeah,
I just
it was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure it's fun today still. It was good back in the day.
I think it's just funny that every time I'm just watching the view of being a stormtrooper, and he always takes this very specific stance as he shoots.
Oh yeah. There's
nice.
there was a Kashyyyk level that was really good too on the original one.
Ooh.
Or was that Battlefront 2? I can't remember now. No, I think that was still the first one. Anyways, that's all my news. Do you have any more news?
Nope. That's my news.
That's
I don't
the
got
news.
much today, but that's okay.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into the topic, which is.
Are we still skipping the pirate joke? I've mentioned it so many times.
Oh, I'm sorry. You did. I'm so sorry. Yes,
No, that's
I actually
okay.
have
I
a good
just
pirate
thought-
joke. Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Cool.
Anth0z, let's go into the
Yes.
pirate joke. What did
Yes.
the pirate say to his wife after he got back from the Honda dealership?
Let's have an accord.
That's it.
Is
We
there really?
have an accord.
Oh, we have an accord. Oh, okay, nice.
Oh, well done.
Yes. Yes, I got it. I'm
Oh,
1
wow.
for 20.
Good job, sir. Very,
Thank
very
you.
good
Thank
job,
you.
sir.
Oh, that's satisfying.
That required some wit, and you had it. So good
Yes.
job.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
We have an accord. I thought
I
that
can
was smart.
I can sleep tonight.
Yep. You certainly can.
I've earned my spot in the bed.
All right, well, let's move into the only topic of the day, which is The Office, and let's start talking about it. I've got a few topics, or subheadings, or things to get us going on this, but
Cool.
you said that recently you just finished it.
Yes.
Is this your first time finishing The Office?
So this was my first. Well, for both my wife and me. This is our first time finishing it, and so originally when we watched it, we watched until maybe just a few episodes after Steve Carell left. So we might have finished that season, and I think he left in the middle or towards the end of season 7.
Yep.
And yeah, so we finished off a few of those episodes. I guess the rest of that season. I don't remember if we watched any of season 8 before. We might have, but anyway. So this time we finished everything for sure, and yeah. Oh man, definitely that last episode. Okay, there's a lot I have to say about the series as a whole.
Okay.
There's a lot I have to say specifically about the last couple seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the direction that everything went.
Yeah.
And where the focus was. It sometimes it really threw me off. And I was kind of like double thinking, like, is this like, am I missing something on what's happening? And then I can see in some ways why they went that direction, but maybe we'll get into it as we talk more. But yeah, first impressions, I'm definitely happy that we watched it all, and I'm happy getting to be a part of that journey.
Yeah.
With all those characters, seeing where they all ended up, more or less. Yeah, okay, so this is just like a random tidbit, but before watching the last season, I think either the last season or the last 2 seasons, before watching the last season, I saw that Chrissy Teigen, so John Legend's wife, was tweeting, and this was actually like back a year ago or sometime in 2019, but I didn't see it until now, and she was tweeting how she thinks that now, after the season is over, or after the series ended, that Jim and Pam divorced, and so it got me really worried that throughout the last season of The Office that we were going to be watching their relationship like kind of dwindle.
Oh.
And I was worried like every time I saw them on screen, and I was overthinking a lot of things. But anyway, that was just it's Chrissy Teigen's own reasoning. It has nothing to do with what really happens in the show. So yeah, if that makes anybody feel better after the fact that I just might have made them feel really sad or worried, don't worry.
If it wasn't obvious before, we're going to go into spoilers on this, so there's going to be Office spoilers from here on out. We'll probably be spoiling most of the show, if not all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. One thing that I think is cool, I can't picture a lot of shows that I've seen similar to The Office in terms of its genre, but I was reading about how maybe shortly after The Office became really successful, the idea of like cringe humor all of a sudden became a thing. So, and that's what I find with The Office, is that a lot of things, like, they're very awkward moments, very like things that, yeah, they make you cringe just because of how either inappropriate or grammatically incorrect things are, or there's a lot of potential instances like that. But I think the way they do it is the way they deliver it is it's a parody, right? Like, they know exactly what they're talking about,
right.
but they're just kind of like either taking shots at it or bringing light to it, bringing light to the situation. There's a lot of different directions where they approach bringing these up, but yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing a little bit more of cringe humor type comedy shows because of this. Like, I really enjoyed watching it. It's I think sometimes it can be a little bit liberating too. When you might have like similar thoughts while watching the show, but you never think about like maybe saying it or like laughing about it. And then when you get to see it in the show, a show that is bringing it to light and making fun of it, I think in a way, to me, it's kind of like liberating. Like, okay, yes, we can laugh at something like this. We don't have to feel awkward about it, right?
Right.
Yeah, or we don't have to feel oppressed by this concept or something. So
yeah.
I
think the whole documentary style, it leads to this whole character actors, like, everyone's a character actor. They're just playing a specific character, but a character actor in real life, like you were saying, it's which is a little bit liberating for us, because I think what it does is it makes us feel smarter because we know the joke, but the characters don't, who are in the moment.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah.
Like, when you've got somebody like Dwight who does like self-deprecating humor, but doesn't realize he's doing it, and there's no laugh track, there's nothing telling you to laugh. It's just that you understand that the joke is so obvious and it's so right there in front of everyone, that you get to laugh at the person, and it makes you feel like you're smarter than that because you got the joke but they didn't. And then Jim is obviously like kind of the outlet for the audience that way too, because he's the one who's understanding everything that's going on in the moment, so that he's looking at the camera like, did you catch that kind of thing? Like, it's usually like you're going along that ride and getting to watch everybody else who's in a weird way dumber than you. But what's funny is, as The Office goes on, and I'm sure as you noticed, a lot of the characters start to get a lot more realistic, and they start to make a lot more real life decisions. They start as complete like parodies and like farces of like real life characters, but then they end up becoming real life characters. Like, you look at Dwight, who's such a fake person. Even by the end of the whole series, Dwight becomes quite like a real person by the end of it, and you start to sympathize with him. You start to understand his emotions. You start to know what he would be like in most situations in life, and he just becomes a real life person that pops off the screen. And Michael Scott is the exact same way. He's a fake person, but by even season 6, when you introduce Holly in a better light, Michael starts to become a real life person suddenly on screen in front of you, and you go like, oh my gosh, this guy like grew up. Like, it's insane. So,
now that you mention Dwight, actually, that his relationship with Jim over time, I mean, so we know that from the beginning it was a prank, rivalry, and then it definitely blossoms into much more by the time we I think maybe one of the first instances we see, actually I can't recall the first instance, but I know there was some where Jim genuinely does something nice for Dwight, I think in the second half of the series, and it's kind of just like a little glimpse, like, okay, yeah, Jim, like, he's doing these pranks and he doesn't necessarily hate Dwight all the way, right? Like, he's enjoying the prank aspect, but I think to some extent, like, every time he does it shows that he does respect Dwight, like, still to some extent. But there's
when he knows Dwight's middle name. It's just like a moment when Dwight's going to the hospital and the guy's like, and middle name, and then Jim's just like, blah. He just says his middle name, and then he's like, oh, and he realizes that he knows his middle name.
Yeah.
This funny moment where even Jim realizes, like, I know so much about this guy. Like,
yeah,
you start to realize that they are actually best friends over time, which is really funny. So
yeah, and I that's kind of a good way to allude to something that, yeah. So anyway, by the end of the series. Jim becomes, or Dwight asks Jim to be his best man, plans like the whole bachelor party and everything, and you can see like they've grown into having this like very fond respect for each other, that like almost like a brotherhood kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Bestest mensch. Bestest mensch. And Jim is definitely the perfect person for Dwight to have as his best man, and to show somebody really going. Like putting in a whole bunch of effort for Dwight, because Jim has always been that one that is capable of doing all that. Yeah. He always showed it for Pam. I think maybe once in a while he would show something for Michael too, but never had we ever really seen like really big efforts done for Dwight. Maybe a little bit here and there from Angela, but like Angela was also a little bit more reserved because that's kind of more of her character, right? But Jim. For sure. He's the all-out person, and so getting the chance to see him go all out for Dwight was really, really cool. Anyway, so that just reminded me, and a little tie to Star Wars, their relationship just reminded me of Rey and Kylo Ren, and how they started off pretty much like rivals, and then by the end of the whole the sequel trilogy, the most recent trilogy, you know, they're standing together,
right?
They have this bond that grew out of the rivalry. It's not like they, at least for okay, I don't want to talk about Star Wars much anymore, but anyway, so yeah, I just see that parallel with their relationship, and I just think it was really cool watching that grow.
And not only just Jim and Dwight, but also Michael and Dwight too have the very interesting relationship of master and Padawan, if you want to do a Star Wars reference.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, but by the end of it, you start to realize how much they both leaned on each other, right? Like Michael needs Dwight so many times throughout the show, and Dwight ends up needing Michael so many times throughout the show. It creates a very interesting dynamic between the two of them. And what I really like is that one episode where Michael's going to be leaving, and the episode starts. It's one of the best intros, I think, to the show, and he's on a chair sitting outside on top of the office building, and it's him sitting there, and then Dwight just has these random meatballs. He's like, "Here, Michael, I made you meatballs," right? And then Michael eats one of them, and he's like, "Actually, they're bull testicles." He's like, "That's right," and he's like, he's pranking Michael because he's all mad at Michael because Michael didn't recommend him to be the next office manager.
Yeah,
but then you realize that Michael. Michael may not have recommended him for specific reasons for why Dwight isn't the office manager. And then you start to see Michael shift the conversation to a way where Michael seems dumb and Dwight can now give him advice. For example, he starts talking about how there might be bears where he's moving. And he's like, what should I do? Yeah. He's like, maybe if I have some meat, can I distract the bears? And then Dwight's like, yeah, if you want to get eaten, kind of thing. And then Michael's like, well, maybe I'll just keep it in my pocket or whatever. Yeah. He's like, Michael, he's like, to a bear, you're a walking salami, kind of thing. And he starts like, it's a funny thing where you start to realize that, oh, maybe this whole time like Michael's understood Dwight and like sometimes eggs him on so that Dwight feels better about himself, and you start to realize all these weird nuances to the characters that make them all stronger in the end. So
yeah, well, that's the thing about Michael's character is that he obviously comes across as the stupidest person, or somebody who just is socially awkward or just doesn't understand social protocol. There's a lot of instances where he's the reason why we get this cringe humor, and it's from scenes that he delivers directly. So but I was actually thinking that part of him, the way I want to describe this is that there are those people who are very blunt or straightforward, or like they're very clear about their intentions or what they say, what they mean, like all that kind of stuff, and you get it, and there's no question. With Michael Scott's character, there's so much if he's in the middle of explaining something, he'll beat around the bush. He takes forever to get to the point. That's what I mean. Like he doesn't. He's not clear in the way that all other characters are.
Right.
But I find that you know, he doesn't beat around the bush because he doesn't know or because he doesn't want to give the answer, but it's because he knows that that's how he should be giving the answer and how he should be delivering it. And it's kind of like how I can't remember exactly how it works, but when he tells people like how they should be delivering jokes, like there's a way that you deliver a joke. So he knows all these nuances. He knows about processes and structures, and he does them. He doesn't skip ahead. He uses specific tactics, and he knows that these tactics exist, and he uses them. He does them. And so I kind of find one thing that I really like about him, and I think your example of him in that conversation with Dwight, it's funny that like that's actually, to me, in a way, like maybe it's not really realistic, but to me that is almost like a sales tactic, because you're like, when you are in negotiations with somebody, you obviously want them to feel appreciated by what you have to offer. And maybe Michael Scott, or Mike, should I call him Mike? Do they call him Mike? Michael?
They all call him Michael.
Yeah, so Michael. Yeah.
I think only Daryl calls him Mike.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. Sorry, it's because there's somebody that I went to high school with that's Mike Scott. So
I see.
He was first in my head, and I gotta bump him out for Michael Scott. Anyway, so yeah, even though Michael wasn't necessarily offering any kind of like knowledge or something to help Dwight or make him pursue something more, he was able to meet Dwight on a level that Dwight found he could feel important, or he could feel positive about something. He could feel good about being a part of that conversation. And I feel like that is exactly what Michael's character is about. He kind of shows on the surface that he's like selfish because everything he wants to have his way, but it's only because he knows that these are kind of this is the way that it's supposed to be done when you're a manager, when you're a person, when you're a husband, when you're a friend, when you're an employee, like all those things. Like he knows exactly what those steps are. He just might take it to some sort of extreme, which is why people get those cringe feelings, or like, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? And yeah, anyway, yeah, so tangent about Michael, but anyway.
Well, the reason why we're diving so deep into that whole nuance of Michael Scott is because there's so much to that character, and I think a lot of that is just Steve Carell bringing what I think is a lot of actually just Steve Carell into Michael Scott to make it more realistic. It might not be totally, I'm not saying he's one-to-one, but I do think there's a lot of just what he probably does in his spare time that become part of Michael Scott, like singing in a falsetto voice, or the way he maybe even That's What She Said or something, I'm not sure, but like just like small little subtle jokes that he'll make here or there. I think since a lot of The Office is improvised, I believe that's just Steve Carell bringing Steve Carell into Michael Scott. But the reason we're diving into all this so much is because Michael Scott is one of the most interesting characters of the whole show. It's like you mentioned earlier, you feel it when he leaves. When he leaves the show, the whole show changes entirely. It doesn't know what to do without its main guy, which is Michael Scott. Most people watch the show because of him. So Michael, Dwight, and Jim we've talked about already, because all three of those characters are characters you latch onto while watching the show. Another thing that really latches people into this show, and I found this with my fiance, is the Jim and Pam relationship.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you have nothing else about the show you like, a lot of people maybe watching it for the first time ever don't find the humor all that funny, or maybe they're not used to it yet, and it seems like a very weird thing. They at least have the Jim and Pam relationship they start to latch onto, because it's so real as well, and it's hard to ignore. When you start to see Jim and Pam doing these subtle little, like, oh, he likes her and she likes him kind of things, it's not like a Ross and Rachel or any other show where it's the typical lines of dialogue. It's just little subtleties that you almost maybe pull from your own real life that really grab you, because you're like, oh, I know that moment, I know that awkwardness, or I know that jealous moment right there, or that little feeling where you don't know what to say kind of thing. So that's another part of the show I think people like.
I agree, yeah, and that's something I feel like that's prevalent pretty much from the beginning. I can't remember if it's
even
in the very
season
first
one handles
episode,
Jim and Pam pretty well, and I'm not an advocate for season one. I don't like it that much. I honestly think you can start The Office from season two. It's best to start The Office from the first season. Obviously, go ahead, but you don't need to. You can definitely start from season two and get this same story. But the Jim and Pam stuff in season one is actually pretty good. They've still nailed a few of the good moments and the good beats, all the way up to like the basketball game that happens. And Jim versus Roy kind of thing on the basketball field. So they do a lot of good things there. It's mostly just Michael that frustrates me in season 1, and a lot of like the kind of bad improv from some of the crew, or cast/crew. A lot of the cast is also crew members in this show, so they're kind of like both. But
that's right. Yeah, like Meredith is a producer.
Yeah, and like
or
Ryan is also
producer.
a writer. Kelly's a writer, and
yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. So they're actually keeping a lot of their names sometimes too. I believe Meredith is actually Meredith in the show. Phyllis, I think, is she also Phyllis? I can't remember. Maybe she's not. There's a few of them that are.
Can't remember. I think she might be.
Creed is Creed.
Yeah.
Creed is actually pretty much just playing himself. As you find out by the end of the show, Creed is actually just playing like the actual guy Creed. Because even he was from a band from back in the day, so they even mentioned,
cool.
apparently Creed was in a band back in the it's like, oh, okay, so he's just playing him.
Yeah. I like that. I like at the very end, he's the one that plays the guitar.
Oh, and he's good too. And you're like, oh wow, like, he plays a good song.
Yeah. You know what I think they did really well in the during the last season, I guess in the last half of it, was all the send-offs. So all the chances for people to say goodbye to characters.
Yes.
Like given that time for Daryl, for Andy. Oh man, I loved Andy's, just knowing how he had this whole stint on trying to make it as an artist, as an actor, or as an artist, as a performer.
Baby Wawa.
And then and then everybody's saying like, no, you can't make it, based on everything that they've seen of him up until now. That's I think that character, like he's kind of like an over the top character. Oh, sorry. And another sign, I just have to tangent, but I loved the fact that Dwight, when he was impersonating him, the whole like like
why, thank you, I will.
Because that's one of the first things that I remembered when I used to watch the show before, was that like Andy singing was like the most memorable thing.
Yeah. And
that's how I would sing in the car. I would sing things, and whether or not I knew the words, I would just go into like and so anyway, yeah, when he has his send off, and he wants to say goodbye in the only way that he knows how, and that's to play a song.
Right.
And everybody's just like in awe. People slowly come out of their office and just stand.
Yeah, it's like a good
listen.
song, and it sounds nice.
And he sounds good. Like he doesn't. It's not his usual kind of like throaty sound. Like he's singing like with his actual skill.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think they handled all those send-offs really well, giving the characters like appropriate ways to say goodbye. One thing that I read about Michael Scott's his send-off was that so when he's in the airport, and out of all people, he doesn't get a chance to say bye to Pam because she's running off doing errands and stuff.
Yep.
And then she meets him in the airport, and we don't they're not mic'd because Michael took his off, and she had left to do her errands, so she didn't have anything. And so we just see this long shot of them staring at each other and talking, but we don't get to hear what they're saying. But I know that, so I read afterwards that Jenna Fisher was saying how, because that was actually like her last scene with him, and that was her chance to kind of say goodbye. So those tears were based, like what they were saying, and those tears were really, it wasn't just Pam saying bye to Michael. It was Jenna Fisher saying bye to Steve Carell,
right?
Which is really touching. But also watching oh man, like the buildup of that episode too, just knowing like every kind of like 10 minutes, like Michael's asking Jim, like, where's Pam, like he wants to say bye to everybody, like it's so important to him.
And Jim's send off is also just a tearjerker. Like, it's insane.
Yes. Yeah. Why don't we wait till tomorrow's lunch, and you can tell me about all those things then.
I can't wait to hear about all those great things you want to say about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very well done. So so much about the show. I could honestly talk about like every little scene of the show. I could just dissect every single little thing, but let's talk about more just general broad stuff that could be interesting to anybody maybe who hasn't seen the show or who's only seen a few maybe seasons or so. First and foremost though, before I get into that, I did write some subtopics just to kind of help us along in this episode, but I do actually want to know your opinion on after Michael leaves and like the last kind of seasons of the show. I used to have very strong feelings about it, and now I'm actually kind of all over the place because I've rewatched The Office many times, and it just changes your perception after a while. So I want to hear yours fresh off the boat. What is your kind of thoughts about the last couple seasons?
Okay, so yeah, I'll try to be brief, but I do have a lot of things to say about the last couple of seasons. So after Michael left, after Steve Carell left, I don't entirely think that they were off the rails just yet. But were you frozen? You were frozen on my screen for a little bit.
It actually worked out. Just the video froze, and I was like, "Oh no!" But then your audio is just, okay. Never mind.
That's
You're
fine.
Good.
So yeah, they took some time to introduce a few other potential characters that to take over Michael's role. Not just take over Michael's role as the regional manager, but take over the position of this pivotal character that is going to interact with all the other characters in a very similar way. So when they brought in Will Ferrell, I don't really know the behind the scenes stuff or behind the story stuff, but I kind of took Will Ferrell as to really just be a buffer. Like there was never, I feel like he was never intended to replace, but just to be a buffer.
A transition.
A transition, exactly.
Yeah.
Until they could get a character find a character that was more suitable. Yep. And I do like how for the rest of the couple seasons was a chance to rotate between seeing what it would be like having other managers in place. So first of all, after Will Ferrell left, or after he was gone, it was what's the order after Will Ferrell? Was it Dwight?
I know Dwight does it for a little bit, but like he's more the manager later on in the series.
He was interim. Yeah, he did like the 1-day interim manager because it was Saber already.
Yeah, Jim also handles
Sabre.
A bit of it too, just being kind of acting manager for a little bit. And like while they do the search committee kind of episodes, if that's what you're talking about. During the search committee, they also don't have a manager for a little while there, and they kind of just don't have an acting manager, and Joe's kind of just overseeing it all.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a bit of that, and then after the search committee, they go through all the applicants, which Ray Romano comes into play.
Yeah.
Then there's I think it just goes right to James Spader after the search committee, though. I believe, because then the next season starts, and James Spader comes in as the new manager of Dunder Mifflin, I guess. Is that how it goes? Yeah, he becomes the manager of Dunder Mifflin in general, and then like the general manager, I guess, and then Andy becomes the office manager, right? Or do I have that wrong?
I think Dwight had like a 1-day interim thing, so he was never actually. He was just
you're right.
acting
Just
manager.
before the search committee, and then he fires the guy in the office.
Yeah. Anyways, and then we get to see Andy in place, and it's funny to
we see Creed as office manager then, or is that later on in the show? Because I know Creed becomes office manager at some point.
I think he was there was like one, I can't remember, it was an episode or like a short bit where they get to I think it was when Pam made the wheel, because she was trying to get everybody to do because she was trying to get everybody to do like office chores, but nobody was doing it, so then she made a big wheel where it's just like everybody gets like fun things or benefits, and I think during that's when we see Creed as office manager. I don't think he was actually. I think it was just like a 20-minute thing or something. 20 minutes as office manager. I can't remember exactly.
He's so good as office manager, though. There's so many great lines out of that. Waslib. What are we doing? We're making anagrams. Waslib.
That's right. Yeah. I remember. Okay. But anyway, so in terms of the last couple seasons, and actually I do want to mention this leading up to Michael's departure. I found it that I think in season 6 it was really weird how they started. It just seemed like they were trying to make him look more like a dick.
Andy?
No, Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It just seemed like so much more of a jerk. But I was thinking afterwards, like, are they just doing that to make it easier to see him leave? Because like it's gonna be tricky without having him as part of the show, but. That's just like a side note there, but anyway, so afterwards during the rest of season 8 and 9, I felt like the beginning of it just seemed like they weren't really like they started trying all these different directions in how they wanted to play the episodes, and there was so much focus on things that I felt like, oh, is this like, why is this happening? Like bringing in those two interns, or not
little Michael,
they were
little
interns.
Dwight, sorry,
exactly.
little Jim, little Dwight, I mean.
Yeah, and then the whole that relationship with Aaron,
Pete, and Andy, the triangle.
Yeah. I just felt like they were. It seemed like I think, well, that's more in season 9, but I do feel like in season 8 they were packing in a lot of stuff. Like, okay, we're gonna be like wrapping up soon, so let's pack in a bunch of stuff as much as we can. And I kind of felt like it was I was getting a little bit detached from what I normally liked of the show. But then I think latter half of season 9, I think I felt like it was starting to pull back in again, or at least like maybe I felt that in season 9 there was more appropriate wrapping, like the idea of they're finally finishing this documentary. Not that the series is ending, but the documentary is finally.
And that was a smart approach.
Film,
I think that was way better to start to just reveal that fourth wall and just break that open a little bit more. Since they already did it with the Michael episode, it was weird to not talk about it anymore. And then breaking it down again in season 9 was really fixing the show again, I think.
Yeah. So I think that, in that latter half where now it was more about, what is this going to reveal about our lives? And we're back into like, okay, now we're kind of watching this mockumentary all over again, because we're seeing what these people are in this moment, worrying about what's going to happen or whatever. It's still outside of office environments per se, but I felt like it was much more appropriate. And I don't know. What are your thoughts about the last couple seasons?
Well, I mean, I thought very similar to you, and I really didn't enjoy the last couple seasons. I didn't like some of the episodes of Michael because they, like you said, they have to transition Michael to Will Smith, or Will Ferrell, I mean.
Whoa.
Will Smith.
That'd be different.
Anyways, I didn't like some of the things they do with Michael. I think him and his interactions with Will Ferrell are really, like, just kind of forced and kind of strange. But I love the send-off with Michael, so then I was okay with that. But once we get into the later seasons, we start talking about, like, I didn't like James Spader at first. I really didn't enjoy his character, and I really didn't like Nellie when she comes into play. So I started to just disagree with a lot of these characters and what was going on, and I really, really disliked Andy in the last season because they changed Andy's character entirely and make him mean suddenly to make it easier for the whole Aaron and Pete relationship. So Andy becomes this like antagonist for most of season 9 for no reason, and he's just like totally flip-flopped. And then he comes back at the very end, he like flips back to regular Andy and like, oh, remember this Andy? And it's kind of like, it's this weird game they play. But all that being said, there's some great moments when Saber makes the pyramid and Dwight takes them all down to do the whole pyramid show and stuff. And he makes that team, that special forces team and all that. There's some great episodes that come out of that little arc there. And there's also some great episodes in season 9 where, Dwight feeling like he can't have kids, he's not a good father, he can't provide for anybody, and then Jim feels worthless because he can't give Pam what she wants, and then there's that whole Laverne's pie, and then they're trying to get to the pie, and they got the big work bus and stuff, and then it becomes this whole like metaphor for where they both are in their lives at the time, and it ends up being a really good episode there. So there's some really good shining moments. Then what's funny is as you watch the show over and over and over again, you start to really appreciate the weird moments when you're in them. And I start to really like James Spader's character. So Robert California becomes one of the most quotable people after a while. I start to really like him. And now I'm on this, like, it's like the prequel movies to Star Wars, not to keep mentioning that. But it's like now I for some reason love Robert California now. I don't know why, but almost all of his lines are gold to me. And even Nellie's starting to become pretty funny sometimes when I see her. So I don't know what this effect is, but I love it.
Well, I think once Nellie becomes a little bit more accustomed to the environment, rather than her trying to like impeach characters, she's trying to take over like the manager position, and she's trying to sabotage people, right? Once she becomes regulated as like one of the like regular crew, I think it makes a lot more sense.
But the thing is, maybe now
her,
that
I think her role fits more.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. You go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's it.
I was gonna say once you know like where her arc is going, maybe that helps you enjoy their character for what they are. So like one of Nellie's
Yeah.
scenes, well, it's not her first scene, but one of like her first scenes is when they're gonna do a presentation for Dunder Mifflin, and they're all at this conference and they're waiting, and Nellie's in the crowd, and she hasn't gone up to do her meeting yet, and she pokes Ryan, and she gets him to say like, when is this man going to show up or whatever, and it's like, I didn't like the joke the first time, it didn't land to me at all, and I didn't like Nellie's character, but now when I watch the scene, I'm like getting excited for that moment, because I'm like, here comes Nellie, like it's just, I don't know what it is, but I'm just getting happy and excited, and it's funny to me now, like I just find it hilarious, and there's one of the girls, I can never remember her name, but she's the one who tries to break up Jim and Pam. She's a horrible character, but she's there pretty much just to scare you about Jim and Pam.
I forgot her. Julia?
Yeah, that makes
Julia or something?
Something weird like that, yeah. I don't know. She's one of my least favorite characters in the whole show, but I feel like...
Yeah. Sorry, y'all, go ahead.
Yeah, she makes a suggestion for the Saber stores, and she's talking about how like they can make them themed, and she's like, I can't remember. She makes this like interesting suggestion, and Nellie's like, "Oh," she's like, "Well, they what did she say?" I think Nellie makes a suggestion about like a summer theme or something like that. It's like, and then she's like, "Well, no, summer doesn't." What's up?
Jungle, I think.
Oh,
did
jungle.
She say jungle or something?
Something weird like that. And then Nellie's like, no, that doesn't work. And she's like, well, it doesn't have to be jungle themed. She's like, no, it does. It has to be jungle, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just this stupid line, but I love it now when I hear it. It's just so funny. Like,
yeah.
See,
I didn't think. Okay, we don't really need to talk about her, but that character I don't think needed to be there. Those conversations could have been with any other character.
Oh yeah,
and it wouldn't really have mattered. Like it wouldn't have been consequential. So
I've got a few.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've got a few like subtopics we can go into, but before we do that, I've got a trivia thing for us to go through. I gave you the trivia beforehand, and I think we should go through that now. So it is a Michael Scott quiz.
I have it in front of me.
Perfect. Perfection.
Let's see. Just so that I know, am I choppy at all to you? Because on my screen you're quite choppy, and I'm not sure why.
Oh really? Oh no, actually you're coming in pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well,
it's weird. I okay.
For the
Sorry
best.
About that. You're coming in good for me, so I just assumed that I was coming in good for you.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Like the audio's okay, but it's just the video itself. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's go into the first question here, which is, what is Michael's official title at Dunder Mifflin?
And are we both doing this, or is it just me?
Yeah. Well, we can do it out loud. We're both doing it. Is he? He's not regional manager, so he's just office manager, right?
Okay, Oh, yeah, I'm guessing. Oh, I'm guessing regional manager.
Is he regional manager though? Because he becomes like a regional manager eventually. I guess it depends when in the show they're talking about.
Well, I think he's always the regional manager. Like the region is Scranton, and he's the manager of the Scranton branch.
Does he become a district manager then? Because eventually he takes on more than just the main Scranton branch. Like eventually they're like, oh, you're doing so well up there. Like they're giving him more. Like when Josh's branch isn't doing so well, it was all going to go to Josh. Like he takes in all of Nashua, right? So,
but the branch I think itself closes because when Scranton absorbs the branch, they act like those employees come over to Scranton.
That's a good point. So he's just regional manager of Scranton. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll take it. Correct! You were correct, sir. Good job.
Yes.
Michael's the regional manager of the Scranton branch.
Yes.
Okay.
One for one.
All right, there we go. What is the title of Michael's self-penned action movie? I know this one.
Okay, so the options are just so for listeners, options are Threat Level 0 Dawn, Midnight Threat, Threat Level Midnight, or The Ultimatum.
I mean, I know it. I'm assuming you know it.
It's Threat Level something, but I'm not sure if it's 0. I think I'm gonna go with Threat Level Midnight.
It's Threat Level Midnight.
Yes, good.
Threat Level what? Midnight. Okay, so next question. The hero of this movie is also Michael's go-to improv character. What's his name? Is it
Michael Scorn, Michael Scarn, Michael Score, or Michael Scar? Okay, I'm going with Michael Scarn.
It is Michael Scarn. Correct, sir.
Yes.
Now, there is one time when he was doing improv where he went, Michael Scoo, you know what you did. So he technically has 2 improv character names because Michael Scoo is another one.
Nice.
Michael
Okay.
Scoo. All right. Michael's favorite mug, which he bought at Spencer's Gifts, says what on it?
Let's see. World's best boss.
World's best boss.
With apostrophe S.
That is
Correct.
sir.
Yes. Oh, it's him from the very first episode with that terrible
Yeah.
hairdo.
Yeah, that awful one. Before they changed it in season 2 and he looked so much better.
Actually, I think they changed it like halfway through season 1. Because even,
they?
I think the pilot was like the worst. And then I think
but-
episode 2 wasn't as bad.
Even the basketball episode, though, it's still pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, according to Michael, he once went. According to Michael, he once went how many years without having sex?
5 years, 11 years, 15 years, 28 years. I don't think I know this one.
I think it's 28.
Really?
But I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't know what he says in the. I remember the line, but I don't remember how he delivers the joke. I think he says, "I once went." Oh gosh, I don't know because the joke is because then there's a follow where he goes and then again for another 15. I think is what he says, but I don't remember the beginning part of it. So
Okay, well, I'm guessing 15 anyway.
I'm gonna go 28. I'm correct,
Okay.
sir.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I once
28.
went 28 years without having sex, and then I believe, and then then he goes, and then again for another 15. Okay. In what month was Michael born? March, May, April, or June? Now, the only thing I can remember about Michael's birthday is that they go ice skating that one time on his birthday. And it's when Kevin's got the skin condition, and he's waiting for results back.
Right. Don't
Don't know what time
I don't
of the
remember
year
any
it was.
references to that.
I'm gonna just randomly guess March, but I don't know if we actually know when his birthday is.
I'll go April.
Okay. Oh, it's March.
Nice.
Holy
Wow.
smokes! I had
March
no idea.
15th.
Honestly, didn't know that was a complete guess. 25% chance, but yeah, March.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, what 4 words make up Michael's favorite joke? We alluded to this earlier. What?
The line that he says when he comes back in the series finale, which was perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
Michael, I can't believe you came.
That's what she
I think that was like one of the best things that Jim could do as a best man too.
Oh, I know. That was his best Gutenprunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of Michael's
All right,
nephew
next.
who he hires as an intern in season 7?
Oh yeah.
Is it Chad, Troy, Luke, Brandon, or Brendan? Now, I know what it is.
Oh, that one episode.
Yeah. It's actually the guy from
going with-
Glee. Or no, I'm sorry.
Was he in
I'm sorry.
Glee?
No, I'm getting it mixed up. No, there's a different guy. There's a different guy who's a pizza delivery guy in one scene, and it's the wheelchair kid from Glee.
Oh yeah. Arnie.
sorry, my bad.
Arnie from
Yeah.
Glee is the pizza delivery boy.
Anyways, in this
I'm
one,
gonna-
Chad, Troy, Luke, Brandon, or Brendan?
I'm gonna go with Troy.
It's actually Luke.
Ah, Luke. Darn it.
Luke.
Oh, that's spanking. Right.
What Dundee does Michael almost ways award Ryan? I think that what they mean to say is almost always award to Ryan.
Yeah.
But
Yes, that is
anyways,
correct.
Is it Dreamiest Eyes, Hottest in the Office, Best Hair, or The Boss's Pet?
Hottest in the office.
Hottest in the Office. That is the one. Goes to Ryan.
Got it.
Michael
Yes.
gets his favorite item of clothing dry cleaned. What is it? Ooh. His suit, his socks, his blue jeans, or his underpants?
I really have no idea. I'm gonna go with his blue jeans.
I think it's his blue jeans. There's one episode where, yeah, Bam is describing this. She's talking about how much he loves his blue jeans and how much he just loves how he looks in those pants. It's kind of a throwaway line, but yeah, that's funny. When Toby moves to Costa Rica, Michael gifts him a rock and a note that reads, shove this where the sun don't shine, go to hell, never come back, or suck on this.
I'm going with suck on
It
this.
is definitely suck on this.
Yes.
Oh, that's such a
Oh,
funny
boy.
scene. Okay, which of the following alter egos is not used by Michael at any point during the series? Caleb Crawdad, Michael the Magic, Prison Mike, Magnificent Mike, or Michael Clump? I definitely know the answer to this one too.
I I feel like it's one of the first two, but I'm gonna go with Michael the Magic.
It's actually Magnificent
Oh!
Mike. So Michael the Magic
What?
was his stage name when he was a kid. Michael the Magic. And later on, when he's trying to do his stupid little magic trick with a key and some handcuffs, he also introduces himself as Michael the Magic.
Oh, does it? Oh, darn it!
Magnificent
I should've
Mike
got
is
that one.
never a thing, though. But Prison Mike definitely was, and so was Caleb Crawdad. That's what
I
they
remember
did
Prison
this-
Mike and Michael Clump.
The Caleb Crawdad one is from the Louisiana Swamp game they play when they do that mystery game.
Oh,
He
okay,
goes,
okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
Caleb Crawdad. Anyways, what is Michael's middle name?
Yeah.
David, Michael, Gary, or Jordan? Michael Blank Scott.
Shoot!
Michael Blank Scott.
Wow,
It'd be weird if it was Michael, wouldn't it? Michael Scott?
yeah. I really don't know this. I'm gonna go with Gary.
It's almost definitely Gary. And it is!
Oh, okay, good.
They used the photo of him
Good.
saying, I declare bankruptcy!
Michael, you can't just declare bankruptcy.
Name a car driven by Michael at any point during the series. Sebring.
I was gonna say, doesn't he drive a PT Cruiser?
It tells me the answer at the end, but yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, when he goes, it's Britney,
Yeah,
bitch.
PT Cruiser. Yeah, when he drives the red convertible, it's a PT Cruiser, right?
Yeah. Now, Sebring is the one at the beginning he's always trying to get Dwight to say that he likes.
I like how they list a Korean church van as one of them.
Yeah, when they got the Michael Scott Paper Company.
Yeah.
In season 7, Michael and Holly leave Scranton for good to move to what state? Colorado.
Oh, Colorado.
Boulder,
Yes.
Colorado.
Holly's
Okay.
home state.
Yeah. Wow, I got 15 out of 15.
Right,
How'd you
yes.
get?
Nice job. I got 11. It's not bad.
Oh, wow,
It's not
nice.
bad. For only having seen the whole series once, I think 11 is not bad.
Good job, sir. I'm very proud of you. That was very well done.
I scored better than 43% of quiz takers. How about you?
I scored better than 100% of quiz takers, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Congrats. Good for
Thank
you.
you, sir. Yeah, but I have the advantage of
Nice.
seeing the show way too many times, so that's more a statement on me than it is really about how awesome I am.
I'll get there eventually.
You definitely will. The thing is, the show kind of nags at you, and you definitely want to watch it and then rewatch it and then rewatch it as time goes on.
Yeah. I need to rewatch stuff because I want to see you know, like when you watch something a second time, you have a different sense of it because like you know what you then know what it's leading up to and like for what purpose, so you kind of have a different outlook on it. So yeah, for that reason I want to watch it all over again.
Definitely.
But like just like how I used to have friends in the background when I would, like, I don't know, wash the dishes and do stuff. Now when I get the chance, I'll have The Office in the background.
I promise you will rewatch it and you'll think about the show in a different light for sure. And
Probably.
I'd be shocked if you didn't rewatch it. And by the time you got to the end of it the second time, you weren't suddenly like, "This is one of my favorite shows ever." Like you were just probably wanted to rewatch it. It's dumb. It's just like Friends in that sense, but it just makes you want to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and I
sorry.
think
Go
like sorry, go ahead. Yep.
But no. I want to hear what you're gonna say.
Well, I think like Friends, one of the reasons why I would want to watch it over and over again, it's because getting to follow those relationships. So not just Pam and Jim, but you know, Jim and Dwight, Jim and Michael Scott, and then Michael Scott and Dwight, Andy and Daryl, Andy and Angela, Angela and Dwight. Like Angela and Dwight is like, it's almost. That's almost as long-standing as Pam and Jim, if not longer, because I think we didn't necessarily know, like it wasn't revealed to us like their relationship until a little bit later.
Right.
But I think behind the scenes it had been like always happening. We just didn't know. But it's interesting that the show, while it is about it's about the dynamic of the characters, with just like everybody in the office, we really follow along these specific relationships throughout the whole time. And it really, for me, it's the relationships that grip me. It's those are the ones that make me feel all these kind of emotional roller coasters and wanting to see more. So the one with I think the relationship with Dwight and Angela obviously was the one that was the least straightforward, but I think for that reason made it so interesting as well. So
Right. Now, if you had to pick a favorite couple from the whole season, do you prefer Jim and Pam, or do you like Michael and Holly, or did you like Angela and Dwight?
Ooh, favorite couple. I mean, I want to say Pam and Jim because they're really a great couple, like in a lot of ways, and they have like great attitudes towards each other. But something about the way that Michael and Holly just were together all the time was just so great to just see them be them and not care about anybody else really.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So,
Michael and Holly.
Yeah, they do a really good job being together. So.
Yeah. I mean, I love Jim and Pam, obviously, and I love all the little nuances throughout their relationship, but Michael and Holly, for some reason, is my most I find it the most interesting. The scene with them on like the rooftop, that one random scene where like they both end up on the rooftop looking for each other. It's just so...
Oh, man.
It's so sad and so happy at the same time. It's just... I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, that episode was just so great. It's just that whole hunt for Michael.
I know, yeah.
Holly accidentally finding him just because she thinks the exact same way. And yeah, it's great.
Michael goes to that Chinese
Otherwise,
restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, as a kind of like a throwaway best couple, I would say Oscar and Angela.
Ooh,
because in the last couple seasons, like they were always like butting heads, but then the last couple seasons they get more intertwined with each other because of that triangle, that three-way relationship, and then and then they become a little bit tighter, and you see them actually trying to do things for each other and help each other out. And yeah, it was interesting watching that dynamic change as well. Or
the secret hidden relationship of Mose and that scarecrow. I mean, that was a pretty good relationship too.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
When he turns and looks and the camera pans to the scarecrow.
During the wedding, right? Everybody looks at their like spouse or their partner, and then he looks at the scarecrow.
Also, random shout out to that random episode where it's Dwight's family and on the farm and stuff, and then like he's taking up the farm's mantle, and it's suddenly like a whole different show now, and it's Dwight's cousins are there, Dwight's sister shows up and all this stuff, and they're all on the farm, and he's like inherited his aunt's farm.
Did you know that was supposed to be that was like a backdoor spin-off to the Dwight show?
Yeah, that was going to be the pilot episode for his whole show, and it really feels like it too. It feels like they just edited the actual pilot episode and put it in, but it also is so good. Like, I love it, and honestly, I'd watch that show. Like, it'd be so good.
Yeah, I would watch it too. I was saying the same thing, that like it was so different, and it was very much its own. It was already its own show in that moment.
That song they sing.
When he's courting Esther.
Yeah. Well, arise, sons and daughters.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I can't remember the lyrics, but he's like, we'll fill our mouths with cinnamon.
That's right.
Oh, I love that song. I also love the funeral when like Aunt Muriel's dead, and they do that thing where they have the shotgun. And pulls out the shotgun and shoots her. So yeah, we like to make sure that our dead is dead. And at the funeral, they're all very literal at the funeral. She had short hair and she had long hair. And like, the neighbor shows up in his truck.
You had the biggest acre of land around, and yeah.
And your acreage was next to your nephew Dwight's.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyone mention her height? Yep. All right. Oh my
so
gosh, good. It's such a random episode, but it's very funny. I really like it.
Yeah, it was a fun departure. Yeah,
for sure. All right, well, I could talk about the show so much, but unfortunately we are having the weirdest audio issues, and it's quite frustrating. But I think we should end it here before we go too far. So, Anth0z, is there anything else about The Office you would like to say before we end this episode?
Geez, I I think it would have been cool to work in an environment like that. I think it's probably pretty unrealistic, but I don't know. It must be possible somewhere. I think it all just depends on what kind of productivity level is required of an office like that. But I guess either way, like if you can find people that you enjoy being with, I mean, okay, in the office, in the show itself, like a lot of the characters didn't necessarily enjoy being with the other characters, but it's undeniable what relationships came out of it. And I think they put it together. I was talking about this with my wife, that at the end when Andy was saying, I wish somebody could tell you that you're in the good old days before you leave them, or something like that. I mean, it has something to do with, your not knowing what you have till it's gone kind of thing. And just stuff like that just makes me want to reflect on, what is going on around me in this present moment. Like, what do I have that I don't realize that I have, and what do I want to do to keep it? And I think the office did a good job of passing that message on. And then I think that's also supported by Pam when she watched all that footage of, or when she said after watching the documentary, she saw just like how much time she wasted not doing anything with Jim. Not like taking any moments and not noticing all these subtleties. So I think that kind of supports this whole like, you don't know what you have until the time has passed. And
right.
So take the moments that you have now to appreciate what you have in your life, because you probably have a lot of good things going on, and maybe you just can't quite see it yet.
You're right. It is a really strong message when Andy's saying the good old times. He's like, I wish somebody told you you're in the good old days. It's like when you're in them, but unfortunately you find out later on. And I've actually found myself using that quote in my life, and as you kind of alluded to there, it actually helps you throughout your regular life too. It's kind of interesting to recognize those moments when you're in them, because eventually, obviously, they all will pass eventually. So just know that, like, when you're in a happy, awesome, good moment, that it's only fleeting. It's only there for a bit, and eventually it will be gone. So appreciate it while you're there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a really good ender, and I like that you said that, because that is supposed to be like the whole theme of the show by the end of it, and I agree with it. It's a very good theme.
Very, it's something that I don't think I would have thought watching it all the way through.
For sure.
So that almost kind of like, is that derivative? No, that's not derivative. It's just funny that like, that using that at the end of the show reflects the show itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and I agree to it. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the Office episode that we had planned here for you guys. Anth0z, where can the audience find you?
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Anth0z1. That's at Anth0z1.
And if you want to find me, you can also find me on Twitter at Mattbrush Gaming, or you can find me on YouTube at Mattbrush Gaming as well, where I put this podcast in video format so you can watch it with your eyeballs. But if you want to listen to it with your earballs, you can go to any of your favorite podcasting platforms and type in the Scumm Bar Podcast and find us there. You can give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, a comment, a star, a sun, a moon, a
world's best podcast mug.
Oh, that would be the best. That
would be cool.
One of those. If you want to write us an essay about what you think about The Office and who your favorite couple was, or favorite moments, or favorite main character from the show, go to your email and compose a new email to the scummbarpodcast@gmail.com and send us one there. We will read it on air, possibly, if we like it. In general, just let us know what you think about the show. We're always curious to see what you guys are thinking about the Scumm Bar Podcast, so let us know.
Please.
Yeah, please do. On that note, Anth0z, what is maybe just go over a small scene that you enjoyed from The Office. Let's hear it.
Oh, a whole scene? Oh shoot!
Just something small, maybe a monologue or just some moment from The Office. Somebody saying something that you liked. A quote is what the people say.
Oh geez, there's so many. I don't know why this is just coming to my head, but it's Jim impersonating Dwight. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna botch the lines, but fact: bears are the most dangerous animals. And then Dwight's like, what does he say? I can't remember. I get pictured
Bears are not
just
the
Jim
most
saying all these
dangerous
things.
animal.
Fact: big black bear. I don't know, just the way he says it. It's just so funny.
Bears
Beats
Battlestar Galactica.
beats Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. What are you? What's going on? What are you doing?
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Michael?
Oh,
that's
man.
funny. Michael? Yeah.
You should have been doing this, not me.
Hey, it's fine. It's all good. Alright, man.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Alright, goodbye, everybody!
All right, goodbye, everybody. Bye.